Welcome back to Cards and Comics, and today I'm going to be doing a big mail day, and it's a really fun one because I have a huge comic book and a huge sports card, vintage sports card, and vintage comic book to show off. So we'll get right into it. It starts with a binder, and you know the video is going to be good when you start out with a binder, and this is very interesting because this is a complete set of 1992 Masterpiece. So this is Marvel Masterpieces. This is the Joe Jusko set. And this set's really awesome because not only is Joe Jusko kind of known for his comic card art, which is interesting because he's more of a famous card artist than he is a comic book cover artist. But these have just been used recently in a bunch of Marvel. They've been doing a Joe Jusko cover variant for the last couple months. And so a lot of these have actually been on covers of comic books now. So I think it's really interesting how it came full circle. So full set, flipping through here. The art is just amazing. Some of the, the Elektra is kind of famous. Doctor Strange. The Hobgoblin, I know I just got it. It was in one of the Amazing Spider-Man covers. The Green Goblin was just in a cover. So some of these I recognize. I think Hawkeye was used recently. So a lot of these have turned into actual covers. So it's kind of like Kingpin. So I mean, it's just great to see. But just how cool, his cover artwork is. That's a great Loki. This is just one of those fun, awesome sets. And I think the Spider-Man is, the last card in the set. But you can see, the Rogue is really nice. And this is so affordable. If I was going to tell someone to buy a set, there's a Spider-Man, which is really good. It reminds me a lot of the Todd McFarlane pose. If I was going to tell someone to, build a Marvel set on the cheap, it would definitely be this set. I got this full set, I think less than $50. With delivery and everything, it was more, but ended up getting like an extra Psylocke and Silver Surfer, so got doubles. Oh, there's the Wolverine, sorry. And the backs are cool because they show like the first appearance of the characters, I believe. But let me get the Wolverine so you can see it, and there's the Wolverine. There you go. Now, so that is this set. I got it in this week. Trying not to make the camera move as little as possible. So that's a set. Now I got something else in from this set that I thought was really cool. So I'm gonna do a special little thing here. I'll get this out of the way. Boop. All right. So I also received in 2 packs from this set. Now, I think a lot of people would say, yeah, don't open these because actually the cards, again, I just said the cards themselves aren't really that rare, but I've never opened a pack of these. So I'm going to open these packs, and it's funny, I got the Wolverine. I don't know how many characters, but those are the 2 packs you'd want to keep, right? Wolverine and Spider-Man. So we're gonna open these packs. Hopefully there's no G.I. Joe or D&D cards in them. And there we go. There's Deathlock, and they're not stuck together. These are not really that shiny of a card, unlike later sets, which are more, that really glossy. And there's Mysterio, Bullseye, which is a really cool cover there, art, Colossus, and here is, I didn't realize, there was inserts. I don't know this at all, but here's kind of a silver, almost embossed looking Thing versus Hulk, and you can kind of see it refractory. So that's really cool. All right, there is that. And again, I look on the back here if there's any odds. I don't see any odds for any of these sets, so I can look it up. There might be an insert that, has some odds on it. Who knows? But never opened packs of these, so these are all brand new to me. Nightcrawler. I got Wolverine on the brain. That's a cool one. Phoenix. The Rachel Summers Phoenix. There is Mojo. Mr. Sinister. It's really cool. A checklist. And Emma Frost, White Queen Emma Frost. And this was just a cover recently too, so it's a really cool Emma Frost cover. So there's a couple packs of the Joe Jusko 1992 Marvel Masterpieces. I really dig that little insert we got. That's pretty cool. Hulk and Thing. All right, so that's that piece of it. So I do have more Marvel cards to show you. Now, some of them are, just to kind of show different sets off. A lot of these aren't that expensive, but here is, we talked about the 95 metal set. So here is the kind of refractory version of those cards. So, I talked about that you can get kind of the silvers or version of the cards. And here is a lot I just picked up pretty cheap that has some silvers. I was cool because I had the Ghost Rider, which is one of my favorite cards in that whole set. Just because how they made his eyes glow and just really cool. I think got Silver Sable's in it. I think that was kind of the big, there's a junk pile. So not a lot of huge characters were in that. But, you had Emma, which is kind of cool. But a lot of second tier characters. But Ghost Rider to me was enough for me to want to pick it up. So, and then there's Morbius, which that movie looks really weird. So that's those cards. Now, the next cards I want to show you from the Marvel pickups, these are just for, example purposes. In my dealings on ePack, which I'm working on a video kind of documenting all my trades, these were short prints. You needed these to get certain achievements, right? And the Wolverine in particular, these are both short prints. I traded this card on ePack for something really, really cool, and it was interesting that I was able to get something for a card that on eBay, this card is lucky to sell $20 to $30. I think I picked this up for $8, and this is out of 2016. This is out of 2017. I don't think the cards are that bad, but they're manufacturer patch cards. To make them kind of like the short print hits in a product, I think collectors just don't like that. And they've never been popular in any other, like baseball, football, hockey sets where you got manufactured cards as your, patches as your hit. So it makes sense that they've not really done anything, but they were really hot on ePack and you really needed them to get some cool achievements. So trade-wise, a lot of people would give you a lot of cool stuff for them, and I made some really awesome trades using those cards. Now, from 95 Fleer Retro, the Supreme Power inserts, so I picked up 3 of these. I think they're really cool. They're definitely acetates. You can see behind them. So again, Emma Frost. I was able to snag Magneto, which is a cooler character. And then the big one was Iron Man. Really cool character. And I think these are a little underrated. I think, obviously there's a similar set, basketball. I think there's even maybe one in baseball. Well, there's a basketball version of this as well. So to me, these are like kind of like mid-tier inserts, even though from what I understand, these were pretty hard to get. So from the pack. So I think, I think this is one of those things where, yeah, this is cool, but, with Marvel cards, kind of cool and off a little bit. I know a lot of people are, really debating, is Marvel cards cooling off or is it just becoming more selective? But again, this is the same conversation we had, with all other sets or sports that have gone up and down, right? Remember basketball where we're saying like it was all base cards and then it became, silvers and it became, low numbered inserts. Now it's Hall of Fame autos. Like that's what's hot. It's because people are just looking for the next thing for some of these cards. And there's this FOMO effect that's going on. And you're seeing it in baseball. There was a huge run up on draft baseball rookies this year. Because it's just everyone's looking for the next thing to be hot. Now, Marvel cards for sure skyrocketed in value. If you had some, cards, you really made some good money. But, again, as people get more selective, not every character is worth a lot of money. Not every character is popular. Not every set's going to have inserts that's going to be worth thousands of dollars. So it's just like, as people got more and more selective, things might go up and down. So this is one of those things where I think this is a cool set. I picked up because it was a little cheaper. And it might be something that people look to get into as things get too expensive. But as other sets start to kind of cool off, it could balance itself out. So, but to me, I just like the cards because they look cool. So to me, if they don't go up in value, then nah, I have a cool looking card. Now moving on to some refractory stuff that I picked up. So very interesting for me. This is a 1996 Finest Mystery Refractor Mario Lemieux. I'm a big 90s refractor guy, so that just really kind of made me go like, yeah, that's a cool looking card. Next up is a Tim Wallach 93 refractor. In my misguided attempt to put together the 93 Finest Refractor set, I keep picking these up when they're in that $40 to $50 range, graded, because why not? Next up is my Griffey. So I always have some Griffies. And this is a very eclectic, mix of Griffey cards. First up is one I really like, and I really want the red version of this card, the production line inserts. They're super duper refractory, right? And it's just foil. It's not like, a refractor, but this is numbered out of 1028. So again, there's red and green versions of these that have different stat lines. I just really like that card. I mean, from a Griffey collector perspective, that's a nice looking card. 1,000 of them isn't really that big of a print run for that time period. Next up is a 2007 Upper Deck Spectrum Shining Star autograph of Griffey. And again, the cool thing, this is numbered to 99. The cool thing about these inserts and these kind of Griffey autos is, in general, they run you about 125 to 150 for a mid 2000s Griffey auto from the Reds. It's a nice auto. It's a little sticker auto. But this just shows you that you can do sticker autos and make them still look pretty cool and nice if you put a little effort into them. And that's a nice looking auto, and it wasn't really that expensive. My last Griffey card is, again, another example of kind of a seller fail, in my opinion. This is from 2000 Paramount. So this is Pacific Paramount. It's a cool looking card. It's a Fielder's Choice, so it's a die cut Griffey, right? So you can see the die cut right there. The glove is die cut, so that's awesome. The card itself is a cool card, but the seller shipped it to me in like a 80 or 100 size one touch, and the card itself is regular size. So there's a lot of room for this card to move around and get damaged. And I don't know why you would do this. Just ship it in a top loader, It's a much better way of shipping a card like that. So I got to look at it over pretty closely to see if it's been damaged. But just kind of bummer when you get a card like that and it could be damaged. Now, lastly, which I call my big pickup for the card side of it, is this card I've never had. Never had this card. It's a vintage card. It's from the 50s. And it's probably one of my favorite, maybe the top 2 or 3 cards from this player that's I think have ever been made. And he's a Yankee, but it's not that Yankee, but it's this guy, Yogi Berra. And this is a 53 Topps PSA 7. Now, this is one of those sets that a couple years ago I was contemplating putting together because I've got the Mano and I've got the Page. And I thought, well, if I get the Maze, which is on my list anyway, then I should just get the rest of the set because it's one of the most beautiful sets ever made. And so I slowly been picking up some Hall of Famers, Spawn, Feller, when I can. But they're getting harder and harder to find, especially in 7, ish plus grade. This came up. I thought it was a good price, and I went ahead and grabbed it. Whether or not it was, a good price or not, it just shows that, you got to snag these really nice cards because this one is very well centered. You can look at that centering and look side to side, top to bottom. This card is very well centered. To me, it's one of his most iconic looking cards. It's a 53. It's just a beautiful card. I just feel like these cards are going to get so hard to find in the future. And generally what I found on eBay right now is everything that's on eBay that's vintage is got something wrong with it. For the most part, if it's on eBay and not in a big, PWCC golden auction, then it's a really good card. Like think of I know there's a 62 Aaron right now, which is a nice card I saw on eBay right now. That's very few and far between. Most of them are off center. They're low in for the grade, and so they're just kind of like, well, I'll throw on eBay because I know, in the big auctions, people will overlook it because, it's obviously off center or something like that. So this is my favorite card I picked up this week. It's a beautiful card, and never had it before, so that's what makes it really cool. All right, so that's the card side of it. So if you don't want to hear about comic books, feel free to tune out. I'm going to look at my my metrics to see how many people jump off when I go to comics, because I don't seem to have much of a comic book following, which is odd because half of my channel is about comic books, but it's weird. But yeah, I'm still doing it because I love it. Pulling out. So there we go. There we go. There it is. You can see my leftovers here. I don't get Totoro and Spider-Man in frame too often. They're over here on the side always. But so we'll go over the comic books. Nothing really earth-shattering from the newer stuff, but there's some fun stuff. However, the vintage stuff I've got, the one book I have is to me a really awesome, amazing book. I'm really glad I have it because I've been in a slump on some books lately in terms of, the golden age, and this is definitely one that makes me happy to try to find it. If I can quit hitting the camera, it'd be even better. But all right, so first up is Step by Bloody Step, and this is the Ivan Tao Virgin variant, numbered to 400 or out of 400. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's not numbered. But this is definitely one of the kind of spec books, and so I view a lot of variants as speculation. So you can't really speculate a lot in comic books, right? You can buy number ones and first appearances, right? That's the normal spec. I look for variant covers for those same type of things. Just have one pop up that somehow gets overlooked or becomes something rare, and that's happened a lot. Like the first, like the first Ironheart, the first American Chavez. They have some variants that were kind of overlooked, and now they're worth a lot of money. And I think if you were to, look at that time period, some of those variants weren't actually that hard to get. But now the book has popped. Even like the first Miles, those variants would have been the one I would have been going after if I was actively purchasing comic books or would have been really active at that time period. So I feel like, but even when Spider-Gwen came out, the land variant was hard to find and it was going for a lot of money, and I didn't grab it, and I really wish I did. Because again, now it's kind of an untouchable book. Same way for the Miles Durdovich or whatever variant. But there you go. So I pulled this. I know this series is kind of like mixed bag for some people, but I still think it's a cool idea, and I went ahead and grabbed that guy. So here is a X Lives of Wolverine number 2 variant, and this is one of the ones I had on my top 5 list that I'm kind of putting on pause. It's actually not going away. I'm just turning it into a monthly variant cover pick of the month versus week, because I really can't handle a weekly thing. So I just can't commit to that, but I can do it monthly for sure. And so cool book. It's this whole series has had some really cool covers, so very happy there. Next up is one of my top 2 variant picks of the week. This is the Art Germ Detective Comics number 1000, and this is definitely an homage back to the 50s. I love this book. It's one of my favorite covers, and has gone up a little bit in value, actually. I think this book is actually very thick, so it's easy to damage. So this book actually is pretty hard to grade. Now, my favorite variant covers this week is from Miles Morales. This is number 25. This is the Greg Horn version variant. And this is kind of like, I consider this like a commission work for me. Like if I went to Greg Horn and said, okay, this is what I want you to do, Greg. I want you to do Spider-Gwen kissing Spider-Ham. But it's not Spider-Ham, it's Miles Morales Spider-Ham. And then that's what I would have told him to make. And then all of a sudden this cover comes in. I'm like, yeah, I got the coolest cover ever. But he actually did it for real and issued it. And I'm really happy that Marvel let them do this, because they don't like Spider-Ham that much. They don't put him on a ton of covers. And so to do him as a Miles Morales Spider-Ham is even cooler. I just think that's a beautiful cover. For the 5 Spider-Ham collectors out there in the world, this is like a holy grail for us, a variant. So very, very happy with that. Now on to the graded. So I haven't had a lot of graded books recently. I think in my last comic book video, I even commented that, like for the first time in a long time, I don't have any graded books to show. And this time around I do. So the first one up is this Predator. This is the first appearance of Predator, Predator 1. This book is a not 7.5, right? The reason I got it is because when I go to comic book shows, I get asked about this book a lot. And so I just figured I'd have a low grade copy. I mean, 7.5 is not terribly low, but it's lower for a modern book. Just to have out, and if someone's really looking for it and wants an affordable copy, to me, the color on it is still great. It still presents well. I think this will get snapped up at a convention pretty quick. Um, Next up is a book that I've gone back and started watching the series again for the first time because I've seen the series a little bit, but not from beginning to end. And so I'm trying to get my daughter in it to watch it with me. And so we're starting to work on it. But this is Gargoyles #1. This is a Marvel book. First appearance of the Gargoyles. It's got hot in terms of spec world. It got hot with like Micronauts and when all this mask and all that stuff was going up, Thundercats. And it's kind of cooled off a little bit because nothing has come out of any of those properties for the most part. And so people are going like, yeah, maybe those were just people like going FOMO. But this is one of the better series of the 90s in terms of art, in terms of story. It's a great comic book series. So I would love it if they actually did a Dungeons and Dragons comic book series based on the cartoon show because they never finished it. I know they did like a radio version of it or whatever, where they read the script for the last episode. But anyway, I would love that to be animated or put into a comic book format. But this Gargoyles book, I think, is something that people will always like because it's got such a cult following. So, and then last but not least, because this is the big Golden Age book, and this is not a great grade, but this book is really cool, man. Like, now, usually when I get these old books like this, they're usually Alex Schomburg covers, and this is not. This is not an Alex Schomburg book. This is a Sid Shores, Al Avison cover, but this is Captain America #19, and this is the oldest Captain America book I own. It's from 1942. It's not a war cover, but it's kind of a horror cover, which they were doing before the war became the focus of the book. But it's really cool. Captain America #19. It's a 1.5. But again, it's got a great cover. And just finding these early, Golden Age, because I see on eBay all the time 50s, 55, 54 Golden Age books, but getting something from the early 40s, really tough. This book, I think, presents well for a 1.5. It's got chipping over here, obviously, split cover. But, everything on the cover still is very presentable. It's a book that's going to hang real well on the wall. I think these are the books that are going to eventually become so hard to find that you're not going to get them for reasonable prices anymore. Just because, they just don't have high enough population counts to really have people, be able to find these, and they're not in the wild anymore. I've talked to many dealers and they're saying like the Golden Age, days of people just bringing in boxes of Golden Age books is over. It's all Silver Age now. So, and that makes sense. So there it is. That is the epic mail day for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Very eclectic Marvel cards, Marvel books, variant covers, King Griffey Jr., Yogi Berra, 53 tops. That's how I collect. I'm all over the place a little bit, but it keeps it fun for me. Hope you guys had a good day or a great weekend coming up. And I'll see you next time. Bye.